Alright guys, I'm back. Hopefully my microphone's a bit louder this time. I just realised after speaking for almost half an hour that I had it on very low because last time I was playing with my mate I had the music cranked up really loud and he couldn't actually hear me if my microphone was turned up. So hopefully this time the balance is a little bit better on the audio so you can hear me talking over the top of all the arbitrary voice commands of my exosuit, which is the name of the suit that carries me through this harsh universe. I think my family's going to be back home any minute now. So it's just going to be a quick little jaunt to talk about passive voice. Where we left off. In addition, the passive voice is, wherever possible, used in preference to the active, and noun constructions are used instead of gerunds, by examination instead of by examining. All I want to pick out there is active voice. Now later in the passage he makes it very clear that passive voice is not preferable. It's kind of ambiguous the way he writes it there, that passive voice is used. That's a flaw for him, and it's a flaw for me as well. Passive voice essentially when you've got the wrong noun, when you're talking about something which is not active in the sentence. You know, the dog was kicked. Something's happening to the dog. We don't see what is doing the thing. A man kicked the dog. You know, the man kicked the dog. That's better. It's more clear because we actually know who's doing the verb. You know, subject noun followed by verb is the best way to construct any sentence, independent of maybe you've got a clause at the start, an orienting clause or something like that at the start of the sentence. Yes, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. I'm also just really going to try and get my ship fixed, because that's important. The idea is that you get sent to find a hermetic seal. Maybe I missed something here, so I'm going to go look in my starship. It says here, pulse engine, hermetic seal. You can actually craft a hermetic seal. But you need quite a bit of stuff, and there's actually a way where you can just hack it out of a little console or something. I should just follow my instructions in the bottom corner there. So I'm going to tell you about something called Hemingway app. Hemingway app is a website. You just literally go hemingwayapp.com, HEMINGWAYAPP.com. It's really useful for passive voice, if nothing else. Now, it's a machine, right? It's not a highly qualified, well-paid English teacher who plays video games and knows everything. So if you chuck something into Hemingway app, it's going to give you a very mechanical look at whether you're using active or passive voice. And it does this, you know, in a lot of ways. I could say, you could ask me, is this active or passive voice, and I can say maybe. You know, that's a correct answer sometimes, because it depends what you want the subject of the sentence to be. It's passive if the subject is having something done to them rather than doing the verb, if you know what I mean. It's passive, you know, if they're on the wrong side of the verb. It's active. You know, you may want the dog to be the subject of the sentence and to be kicked. And it is kind of an active sentence in that way if what is happening to the thing you want us to focus on. The problem is when you're not even thinking. When you're not even thinking what you want the sentence to be about, you're just writing a sentence and you don't know... okay. Alright guys, I'm back. You might have heard a beep in the background. That was yesterday. My family came home, I didn't have time to play, so I've just jumped back in here. I'm going to merge this together, probably not seamlessly, it probably seems really frustrating. I've got a signal booster. You know, you might have seen that little message in the corner hassling me to build a signal booster. Well, I finally read it when I was uploading the videos. I'm like, oh yeah, you need the signal booster. I'm going to stop talking about passive voice. I realized two things. One, that I need to get, you know, actually read my instructions and pay attention to the game, otherwise it'll look like I'm bad at this game. I'm actually really good at this game. I've got the hardest trophy to get, which means you've got to get to the center of the galaxy on permadeath mode. It was a big, epic trek. It was very difficult. I am good at this game. It looks like I'm bad because I'm reading a political essay while I'm doing it. Secondly, I could talk about passive voice all day. I'm going to stop. Why am I going to stop? Because you can easily go and read more read some clearer guides. Hemingway app will help you understand it. Grammarly, if you pay for that, will help you understand it. There's a book called Elements of Style that will help you understand it. Yeah, much more clearly than me talking about it, confusing you while playing a video game. Just the point is, don't use passive voice. And I'm going to skip down to the next paragraph that starts with pretentious diction, because that's, I think, all you need to take out of that. It's a very important stylistic point. If you reflect on the fact that you have been consciously trying to use the active voice, and that can be seen in your writing, then that's good for this unit of work. Okay, I don't have much sodium, which means I can't recharge my shield. I have a feeling a storm's going to come. There's a scripted storm that comes when you go for the hermetic seal. So I have to go sit in my ship and regenerate. Maybe find a cave or some carbon so that I can trigger the storm. And there we go. This is easy. Just wait it out. This is convenient because I can just wait out the storm and read through the next part. Get some headway on this essay, which is going to take a while to get through. Pretentious diction. Words like phenomenon, element, individual as noun, objective, categorical, yada yada yada. Utilize, as I was saying, utilize a really bad one. Eliminate, liquidate. Used to dress up simple statements and give an air of scientific impartiality to biased judgments. This is especially problematic for you guys with your essay writing. You'll use big words like encapsulate or utilize to make it look like what you have to say is more complex or meaningful than it really is. Scrap that. Especially, maybe you can get away with it in an essay, in your 1984 essay, common module marked alongside standard students, and you probably at least have a fair understanding of what the words mean or broadly mean, so you can get away with it in that context. Not in the craft of writing, because the craft of writing is the unit where you get prescribed a piece of writing called Politics in the English Language, and it says unequivocally, don't use fancy words like that when you can use a simpler one. And this, again, is something you can reflect on. Choose the right word, the word that means what you want it to mean, not the one that's going to dull the language up, and in doing so warp the meaning a little bit. Adjectives as well. Epoch-making, epic, historic, unforgettable, triumphant, yada yada yada, mostly just superlatives, words that don't actually add meaning, they just express an air of grandeur. And then we go down further. While writing that aims at glorifying war usually takes on an archaic colour. Its characteristic words being realm, throne, chariot, mailed, fist, trident, sword, shield, buckler, banner, jackboot, clarion. Foreign words and expressions such as cul-de-sac, and ancient regime, deus ex machina. And this is one that I disagree with. Deus ex machina, I don't always agree. Did the storm pass, by the way? Yeah, I think it did. I'm still concerned that I'm not going to make it to my hermetic seal. Sodium over there, but it's in the wrong direction. I'm just going to have to gun it again. Deus ex machina is I couldn't think of a better way to express that. If you don't know what it is, it's a Greek theatrical term, which means the god in the machine, or the god from the machine, and it's used to describe when your story ends with a random happening. So, like the god who came out of the machinery, aka the riggings above the stage. Ooh, exhausted. That was cool. By the way, the subtext of this game is it's all a simulation, which is it gets pretty philosophical in the narrative. Yes, it does have a narrative, believe it or not. It takes a long time to get to it, and then when you get to it, it takes a long time to get through it. But there is narrative, part of which is confronting the idea that, yes, spoilers, you are part of a simulation sent out to explore the creation and report back. which is funny because it's actually what Sean Murray, the developer, kind of was doing, creating a big random universe with a few rules, and then sending his players out to take screenshots, beautiful photographs, send it back to him so he could be pleased with what he has created. I like it. I think it's cool. Anyway, the God from the Machine is a theatrical term which I think is, you know, useful. I don't think there's a better way to express that. You know, we could make up an English word from it. We could just use the God from the Machine. But it's also then denying the classic history that it has, denying the links to Aristotle, etc. You know, and I think that's a loss. We can learn what a word means that comes from another language, and this section of the essay is ignorant of that. You know, he's kind of saying use an English word if there's one there rather than a foreign one, and if there's not an English one, make up an English one. You know, partly you can agree with that, but partly I don't think it's always necessary. We can't, you know, English is an amalgam of different languages, from the old Celtic and the French influence and Latin and the Germanic expressions and stuff like that. I'll let I can recover very quickly in here. I can go back over to the other one. So the hermetic seal's in here. Are you ready? Drum roll. The log finishes and the machine whirs to life, spitting out supplies. I have the hermetic seal I need to repair my ship. Whoever it was that led me here, whoever left this message, perhaps they found themselves in the same situation as I do now. Okay, so I got a bit of sodium, enough to get back. I got my hermetic seal, I can get back to my ship. Shouldn't be so hard, so I'll try and read and walk. Foreign words and expressions such as cul-de-sac, ancient regimen, deus ex machina, mutatis mutandis, status quo, glaciatan, are used to give an air of culture. You know, those words have dropped out. He's kind of like, he's worried that these words are going to take over political discourse and stuff like that. Most of them are not ever uttered again. You know, German words, I suppose, we're not really... not really, you know, that proud of inheriting. Maybe German stuff has become less and less popular after the war. I don't know. Sodium nitrate is good. That's like supercharged. I need my analysis visor. Skipping ahead a bit. Except for the useful abbreviations, i.e., e.g., and etc., there's no real need for any of the hundreds of foreign phrases now current in English. Bad writers, and especially scientific, political, and sociological writers, are nearly always haunted by the notion that Latin or Greek words are grander than Saxon ones, and unnecessary. Words like expedite, ameliorate, predict, etc., 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 constantly gain ground from their Anglo-Saxon opposite number. Okay, I'm trying to repair my builder. I need to build an analysis visor. I need a carbon nanotube. That's easy. Should be easy enough. Not in my... yeah, no, that's fine. Build it here. As well. Ah, now I can see my ship. It's over there. See, this is the visor I needed to... I walk through a beautiful field of plants there. These things are harvestable for advanced crafting and base building. You need this stuff that grows on these things, but I'm not up to that yet, so I don't really care. I'll just run back to my ship. The jargon peculiar to Marxist writing, I'm going to skip this paragraph. Marxist writing is something that I think George Orwell was worried about. You don't need to be worried about Marxist writing unless you're a fan of Jordan Peterson, which I would strongly suggest you're not, who gets obsessed with postmodern Marxist philosophy or whatever, which doesn't really exist. It's just a kind of, whipping boy for his kind of outright ideology, which I can't handle. Don't worry about that. Next bit I have highlighted though, an interesting illustration of this is the way which the English flower names, which were still until very recently, are being ousted by Greek ones. Snapdragon becoming Antirrhinum, Forget-me-not becoming Myostas, etc. It is hard to see any practical reason for this change of fashion. It is probably due to an instinctive turning away from the more homely word and a vague feeling that the Greek word is scientific. Now, George Orwell is a true English patriot. He loved the traditional English lifestyle. He ended up living on an island in a farm somewhere, way out in the English, sorry, I think it's off Scotland actually, Jura, the Isle of Jura. He wound up living there. All I need is pure ferrite now. Because he loved the English tradition of farming countries, the simple life. He's very stoic, classic Brit. Of course it pisses him off that people are using the nostalgic, losing the nostalgic English words in favour of the scientific terminology, which doesn't have any meaning other than an old school Latin root. And I can empathise with that, and I think for you guys, when you're looking for symbols and stuff in your writing, it's important to draw these kind of meaningful words out. It gives you a chance to do wordplay and stuff like that, and it gives you a chance to draw on traditional nostalgia. You can be tempted to use scientific terminology, or, in some cases it's better. But simple, correct language, using the words that you would use in your own life as opposed to some fancier word, often brings out a connection which otherwise can't be brought out. What does it mean to real people in the modern times? What do you call the flowers around you? Like, I know a plant called night jasmine. Night jasmine grows. I don't think it's actually called night jasmine, it's just what my dad called it. And I would call it night jasmine if I was writing about it, and I think a lot of people would understand that. Anyway, whether describing flowers is going to be important to you in your writing, I don't know, but it goes to more than that. What about words for the ingredients of food that's being cooked? One of the old cliches of English teachers is going to tell you to write just about what your grandma cooked for dinner on Christmas or whatever. Imagine the smells of your grandma's house. I think that's a bit of... Not everyone can write that. It starts to get boring after a while. But talking about, do you call it coriander or cilantro? That kind of stuff. If you're evoking what is true rather than what is scientific, you're going to have a better chance at evoking a response in the audience, and that's what you're really looking for. I need pure ferrite, okay? And there's a lot of ferrite dust around. Sometimes you can find pure ferrite in a rock. Usually you can. Theoretically I should be able to. But you can also just make this little thing, which will build it for you. And I think that's what I'm going to have to do. It's a metal refinery, little mini refinery. Year 12. Sorry for the weird, janky video. Another bunch of time has passed. I'm going to wrap this one up by fixing my ship and getting the heck off this planet. Because, yeah, I've tried it about 3 times. And the video keeps being silly. It cut out after the 15-minute mark, and whatever my attempts to get it restarted in a continual fashion have not worked. I built a refiner. I don't think you saw that. Did you? There's pure ferrite in there. which is what I need to fix it. Yeah, stuff happened, basically. Stuff happened. I give up today. I'm not having as much luck. Maybe my coffee's run out. I don't know. Not having as much luck getting through the essay. But if you like it, let me know. I'll upload it. This one, you know, hopefully it was as useful as the first one. First one was pretty good. Hopefully this one was okay. If you enjoyed it, next time I'll be feeling a bit better. Won't be it will be Saturday rather than Sunday again. And yeah, I can illuminate this essay in the, you know, while exploring the galaxy and flying in my newly repaired ship, which I can just about do now. Bingo bango. Here we go. Off to space. Yeah, that's it. So you guys want to keep going? This is the planet Regeneros. I don't really like it that much. I think it's a bit of a shithole. So I'm going to get out of here. Next time maybe we'll land somewhere else. We'll look at it from space. How about we do that? We're in a 3-planet system dominated by the Gek. Stable levels of conflict. Should be fun to explore while we read through the rest of the essay, if that's something you're into. If not, maybe I could try Red Dead Redemption. I'm not interested in... Just want to see what Regeneros looks like. Whoa, pretty gross, really. As usual, a crappy starting planet. Over here, though, it's basically Earth. It looks beautiful. Next time, that's where we go. Adios, amigos.